Tangled. It's got amazing writing, beautiful animation, and arguably the funniest non-speaking horse and chameleon sidekick duo in all of animation. What more could you want? Here are my top 10 favorite things about the making of this iconic movie. I'm Brooke, and this is From Script to Screen, brought to you by Retro Penguin. Number 1. The Hot Man Meeting. Ever since I first heard about this little meeting, it has not left my head, because frankly, the idea of it is hilarious. The directors of the film, Nathan Green and Byron Howard, were trying to figure out the character design of Flynn Ryder. He's swashbuckling, rogue, handsome, but how swashbuckling, rogue, and handsome should he be? Well, what better way to find out than by filling up a room full of women and having them hash it out? So, of course, they gathered up all of the female employees in the studio and asked for their opinions on what made a man good-looking. They came prepared with photos of attractive male celebrities such as Johnny Depp, Hugh Jackman, Brad Pitt, David Beckham, and Gene Kelly. The directors apparently had a bit of a rough time being in the room because, to quote them, they came in and put the pictures up all over the walls, and then they proceeded to tear apart the hottest men in Hollywood. And we're not the hottest men in Hollywood. He added, they were like, this guy has a nice chin, but this guy has blue eyes. Don't give Flynn blue eyes. Poor dudes. But hey, I think the meeting paid off because Flynn Ryder is pure animated perfection.
Here comes the smolder.
Speaking of animated perfection, did you know that the film we know and love as Tangled almost wasn't? One of the original concepts for the movie made it out to be a live-action story that was almost a reverse of Disney's 2007 movie, Enchanted. Tangled was almost titled Rapunzel Unbraided, and the plot was loosely as follows. There was an evil witch who hated fairy tale happy endings and plotted to end them. Meanwhile, in modern-day San Francisco, Claire and Vince are two vastly opposite teenagers who cannot stand one another. Claire is a short-haired, fashion-obsessed teen who was concerned with her looks. Vince is a stocky and crude pizza delivery boy falling on hard times. The two of them get on each other's nerves, which gets the attention of the evil witch in the fairy tale realm. She takes Rapunzel and her prince, Beau, and transforms them into a squirrel and a dog, respectively. While Claire and Vince find themselves filling their roles, Claire and Vince eventually team up with Rapunzel and Beau to defeat the witch and return to their respective places in time. Oh, show of hands, who's glad we didn't go that route? Number 3. Did you know that to this day, Tangled still remains Disney's most expensive animated film, costing a whopping $260 million to produce? That gets close to the top of the list of the most expensive movies ever made. For reference, some of these movies include Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Avatar: The Way of Water, and Pirates of the Caribbean: At World's End. Those are some big movies. Now, Tangled did end up making around $592 million in worldwide box office revenue, so it more than made up for the cost. But what about the time spent? Production for Tangled as we know it took about 6 years. The reason for this would come down to the combination of hand-drawn animation and computer graphics. This brings us to number 4, the animation style. Tangled is Disney's first CGI fairy tale film adaptation. According to Glenn Keane, who pitched the original concept for the film, he intended for the movie to look and feel like a traditional hand-drawn film, but in 3D. He held a meeting where he brought in 50 Disney animators, all with different strengths and styles, to discuss the techniques used in each style and how to, in his words, bring the warmth and intuitive feel of the hand-drawn to CGI. According to Glenn, he credits animator Kyle Strawitz for bringing the painter-like feel to the film. As an experiment for the animation style, Kyle apparently built the house from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in CGI, but painted it so that it appeared flat, yet had dimension and kept all the charisma and tone of the original 2D paint style. It's really incredible to learn about this intention and then watch Tangled back and see that effort so effectively executed. But it's not the only thing that contributed to the extensive production time. Number 5, Rapunzel's hair. The hair, good lord, the hair. It took Kelly Ward, a senior software engineer at Walt Disney Animation Studios, pretty much the full 6 years to figure out the magic key to animating Rapunzel's hair. According to Kelly, because of the height of the tower, Rapunzel's hair is about 70 feet long, and if you could hold it in real life, it would be between 60 and 80 pounds. Obviously, hair with these measurements would not move very fluidly or easily in the real world, and in the world of animation, hair proves to be a difficult thing to wrestle with regardless. So, Kelly and the team had to develop tricks in their programming using over 100,000 strands to help the hair respond correctly to light, cooperate easily with the character, while also having a realistic-looking weight to it. Honestly, I'm impressed. Number 6, Mother Gothel's lore. If you ask me, Mother Gothel is potentially one of the most manipulative and devious Disney villains, along with Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Managing to be simultaneously horrible and iconic is a task only Mother Gothel could conquer. So what else is there to know about her? We all know that she is a greedy old lady, since the entire purpose of kidnapping Rapunzel and locking her in a tower was to keep herself young and beautiful forever. But do we know how old she actually is? Well, if we notice Mother Gothel's dress, we can see that it comes from the Renaissance era, and since Tangled takes place around the late 1700s, we can deduce that she has been around for over 400 years. I mean, couldn't be me, but that's dedication. This being said, it may seem as though when she dies near the end of the film, that this is because she falls from the tower window. This is not actually the cause, but rather the magic from Rapunzel's hair is draining from her so quickly, and she is aging and deteriorating so rapidly that she disintegrates into dust before she even hits the ground. It's only the cloak at that point. Also, within the tower, there are clues to Mother Gothel's true intentions with Rapunzel. These include a spinning wheel in the room, like in Sleeping Beauty, a pattern of an apple on the bottom post of the stairway, like in Snow White, and her glowing green lantern, similar to Maleficent's magic in Sleeping Beauty. And with one last call out to another villain, the dagger Mother Gothel takes with her when she goes to hunt down Rapunzel is identical to the dagger Frollo carries in Hunchback. They're looking more and more similar. I feel like they really deserve each other. On a more lighthearted note, I just want to shout out Maximus and Pascal with number 7 really quick. These two are so hilarious, both together and apart. Pascal and Maximus have even garnered universal acclaim from film critics, who referred to the characters as scene stealers. British magazine SFX dubbed Maximus the film's breakout star, while The Age hailed the character as the funniest horse in film history. This becomes even more impressive when you consider that neither character actually speaks, but rather they make use of impeccably refreshing animation of body language and facial expressions, as well as some animal-like sounds. These sounds were actually recorded by the seasoned voice actor Frank Welker, who is famous for impersonating animals and creatures. Oh, and side note, Pascal was almost a squirrel. Nuts, right? Number 8, casting and recording. On September 10th, 2009, it was announced that actress and singer-songwriter Mandy Moore would voice Rapunzel, and actor Zachary Levi would provide the voice of Flynn Ryder. Of course, both actors were required to perform scenes and songs for their auditions, but did you know that Flynn was initially supposed to be cast from exclusively English actors? It seems very in line with his character that Zachary Levi, as an American, auditioned anyway, and impersonated a British accent. They loved him enough to simply say he could just use his natural accent. Normally, I would pine over the lost potential of a British Flynn Ryder, but I have to agree with the producers here that Levi delivered enough charm without it. In Tangled, as with most animated films, all voice actors had to record their dialogue separately from one another to avoid bleeding into each other's tracks. But apparently, Mandy and Zachary only met once the entire time, and that was to sing their heart-fluttering duet, I See the Light. Additionally, Mandy and Donna Murphy, who voiced Mother Gothel, never met at all during the course of the recording sessions, and if that wasn't enough, due to their schedules, the scenes were filmed in differing orders, meaning sometimes they didn't even hear the voice recording of their scene partner at all. It's a testament to all of their performances, as well as the animators, that it really feels like they were all there and feeding off of each other's energy. Number 9, Easter eggs. We all know Disney likes to hide little Easter eggs from their previous movies in their films, and Tangled is not an exception. Here are some fun things to look out for the next time you watch this movie. Look for Pinocchio in the Snuggly Duckling pub. He can be found in the upper right corner when Shorty swings around like Cupid. Now, I mentioned some of these earlier, but Rapunzel painted the staircase in her tower with symbols from other princess movies, like the apple from Snow White, a slipper for Cinderella, a rose for Belle, and a shell for Ariel. There's also the spinning wheel from Sleeping Beauty. The bookshop in the kingdom showcases several books that pay homage to Disney animation. There are titles of other Disney tales, development art, Salmon from Brother Bear, and an open book at the top of the screen that features the prologue from Sleeping Beauty. Pretty cool, right? I know there are more, so let me know in the comments if you found them. Okay, the final point. Everyone knows that Tangled was based off the Brothers Grimm tale of Rapunzel, but maybe you don't know just how much was changed. And I find all of the original Brothers Grimm tales to be so interesting, so I had to share it here. In the original fairy tale, Flynn Ryder was a nameless prince, and Rapunzel wasn't a princess, but a peasant. While pregnant, her mother saw some rampion growing in the witch's garden and began craving it obsessively. Rapunzel's father stole the rampion successfully the first time, but the second time he got caught and had to make a deal to give up his firstborn child. When the baby arrived, the witch appeared and took her away. She was named Rapunzel after the plant her mother had desperately hungered for. At age 12, the witch locked Rapunzel in a tower and was the only visitor for years until a prince happened by. Rapunzel fell for him during his secret visits, during which time she became pregnant. When the witch discovered this, she chopped Rapunzel's hair off and banished her to a desert where she gave birth to twins. The prince arrived at the tower and was pulled up on Rapunzel's hair by the witch. She threw him down into a bed of thorns, blinding him. He then wandered through the desert and eventually was reunited with Rapunzel, whose tears restored his sight, and they lived happily ever after. If you think that one's unhinged, you should really check out the Little Mermaid version. Alright, that's all I have for you this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. What was your favorite thing you learned in this video? Do you think the Hot Man meetings paid off? This has been From Script to Screen. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you next week. That's a wrap.